Yo, Yugi fam. How you guys doing? Hope everybody's doing well. I know I haven't uploaded in a while. That's mainly because I really haven't been interested in anything, really, like any decks. I mean, I've been playing online during this time, but I haven't been really excited about anything new. But I have been testing, Dragonmaids, and it's the first deck like in a while that's really caught my attention, and uh, it's gotten me excited, to play the game. I've like I said, I've been playing like Thunder Dragons, I've been playing Salamand Great, here and there, but nothing has really, like caught my eye, caught my attention. But I've been working. I've been working hard to get this deck to where I want it, competitive wise, while still staying true to a Dragonmaid deck. Okay, because we are playing a Dragonmaid deck. Most of the cards that we're playing are Dragonmaid cards. It's I believe 17 in total, 17 Dragonmaid cards. So and then with other engines to help supplement the archetype and like give us more ways to get to our end board. So I'm really excited to show you guys this deck. I feel like it's definitely competitive. If you're interested in Dragonmaids, if you love this deck, then I highly suggest that you watch this and keep an open mind as well. Because first of all, this is not a 40 card deck. I believe it's 48, 49. I didn't really want to cut anything, and I'll show you why. There's just a lot of extenders and a lot of engines. Not a lot of engines, but important engines that we utilize in order to get to our end board, in order to play through hand traps as well. Sorry for babbling. I just want to make sure that this deck profile is in depth and that you guys understand, my card choices and what I'm aiming to do with this deck. First off, I just got my hands on a Starlight Rare Chamber. She looks absolutely beautiful. I still need two more. So if anybody wants to, reach out to me, I would love to. And you have a Dragonmaid Chamber Starlight Rare that you're trading or selling, please let me know. So let's get right into the deck profile. Let's get into our Dragonmaid cards first. So first we're running Chamber. She's the newest, smaller Dragonmaid. And she is the best Dragonmaid. Some might argue this, but the thing is, Hospitality is an amazing card, and she gets you access to Hospitality right away. She also gets you access to the new trap, which, spoiler, we play one of, and she also gets you access to the fusion spell, which is awesome. So with Parlor's amazing. She's the second best, but with Parlor, you send it to the graveyard and you have to bounce it back, so you lose that field presence that you need to get into your link summoning. So you need bodies on board, so that's why Chamber is amazing. She can also tag out to any of the Dragon Maids, the bigger Dragon Maids, so that's what makes her awesome too. And she's beautiful. Dark Dragon level 4. What's not to like about Chamber? So next up we have Kitchen. Okay, so Kitchen, it's my least favorite Dragonmaid. Yes, she does search, and depending on what your hand is, she could be absolutely broken. But she requires multiple cards to function, whereas with Chamber, I can get into a link 2 just using Chamber. So I could go Chamber, add Hospitality, link Chamber into a Striker Dragon, add off Striker Dragon, and then use Hospitality, reborn this, go into Romulus, go into Heretic Seal. But with Kitchen, if she's like by herself, she doesn't do anything, except, she could dump one of the bigger Dragon Maids, so when you go into battle, you could return it to the hand, and then, you could do that. But otherwise, she doesn't really like get your combos going on her own. But she's still amazing, and you still play 3 because you want to be able to get access to any Dragon Maid and then dump it to the grave, which is nice because you need your graveyard to be loaded with Dragon Maid cards. So next up we have Parlor. Apologies, I'm proxying 2 because they're coming in the mail. I really wanted to trade for them at first, but nobody really had them for trade. And then once I bought the 2 copies, suddenly like people had them for trade, and it was. But anyway, so I have 2 coming in the mail. So you play 3. Make sure you play 3 because Parlor is the second best. She can dump the new trap, and if you guys don't know, the new trap tidying can it acts as a monster reborn. It's a quick play, monster. It's a Call of the Haunted. It's amazing. So she got even better because of the trap, because you can normal summon Parlor, send the trap, link it to a Striker Dragon, banish the trap, summon Parlor back, and be able to continue link climbing. So she became even better in that sense. She can also dump anything. So if you open this in Hospitality, this in World Legacy Card Dragon, it's broken. It's so good because you can just dump Chamber, and then you could reborn Chamber, and then get Chamber's effect. So very, very good card. And then the last, we play 1 Nurse, because you don't need more than 1. And it's for the simple fact that you play Hieratic Seal, and you could summon it off Hieratic Seal during your opponent's turn. You could summon it off LP. You could also use Dragon Shrine, Foolish Burial to get it to the grave, activate Hospitality, get this back. So you don't need more than 1. You could play 2, but I don't suggest it. But if you want, if you feel more comfortable playing 2, by all means, you can play 2. And then we play, for the last of the Dragonmaid monsters, we play 1 Enris and 1 Lorpar. We play just 1, 7, 1, 8, just so we're able to tag out and summon this. And their secondary effects don't really come up often. Even though I chose these 2 because they are the best. So like going second, you could technically discard this, target 1 monster your opponent controls, or on the field, and they can't activate their effects. So you could bait out a negate. It's a very bad like impermanence if you want to think of it that way. But you still play Lorpar because it is the one with the most like utility. Going second, you could discard it and force out a negate. So that's why you want to play cards that have multiple functions, because with Enris, if you needed to, she could act as an extender. You could discard this, summon a Dragonmaid from your hand as a quick effect during your opponent's turn. You could do that, so that way you get more value. Yeah, that's the reason we play 1, 7 and 1, 8, to be able to tag out, and because of their additional utility effects, which again rarely come up, but it's nice to have. So that's it for the Dragonmaid monsters. Next, we're going to go over to our next engine, or our first engine, rather, and that is the Rocket engine. So we play 2 Tracer. We play a Magna and Silver Rocket, and then we play 2 Apsarouter. So the reason... let's go over ratios. So the reason that we play only 2 is because you don't really want to open this card up, but 2 does come up. Like in the combo, if you have like a full combo, 2 comes up. So it's cool because you summon 1 and then you search 1 later. So we play 2 because we have a Quick Launch, and Quick Launch can tutor any of these 4 out. These 2 you never want to draw because you're always summoning these 2 off Rocket. So you never want to draw them, but it's okay if you do, because they can act as extenders with the field spell. And then Apsarouter is just, he's really good for multiple things. First off, you normal summon any Rocket, you could special summon him, he's a free extender. And then what's amazing about Apsarouter is that he can replace himself. So once he gets sent to the grave, you can add any Rocket monster, which is awesome. So it's not like you're just like losing resources. He replaces himself, so you keep maintaining hand advantage, and you're able to extend. He's also a level 7, so you could use him to fuse with the Dragonmaids. So if you get access to the fusion spell, and this is in your hand, and you could fusion summon, be able to summon the Dragonmaid Shao, which is the new fusion monster, and then get his effect in the grave. So he acts as fusion material, and he gets his effect in the grave, which is awesome. So he's an extender. Also with Dragon Ravine, if you pitch him, you get so much value. So he's just really good. You play 2 copies because you want to see him. You don't want to see him all the time. There's multiple ways to get to these cards, and you'll understand once we go on through the profile. So next, another amazing extender is Ruler Tempest. Tempest Dragon Ruler of Storms, because he's a level 7. He can bring himself back from the grave each turn. Once per turn, he can summon himself from the hand. He can act as fusion material. It just like so many good things about this card. Next we play Brotar, and Brotar is awesome because if you say you don't want to draw Brotar, but if you do draw Brotar in your opening hand, and say like you normal summon any of your like Dragonmaids and they ogre any of your Dragonmaids, he triggers in hand, so you could special summon him from hand, discard a card, target himself, add a dragon monster with the same attribute, or say monster with the same type and attribute. So you could add it, Levianeer. And Levianeer is just really good for a recovery play. So most of the time you're always going to end with Hieratic plus multiple like interruptions. So Hieratic tributes itself, bounce a card, activate Hieratic, summon from deck. I'm pretty sure most of us know this by now. Target this, discard a card, add this, and now you have Hieratic, which is your only light target, but you have a light. So then during your opponent's turn, banish a light, 2 darks, pop 2 cards. Levianeer just so good of drawing off Saryuja, because again he's a level 8. You banish 3 darks, you summon him, rip a card out of your opponent's hand, shuffle it back, and then use him to fusion summon for your Dragonmaid fusion monster, which is fantastic. And then we play Phalanx because we're playing the Dragoonity package with Divine Lance. He's just an awesome extender because of Divine Lance, and you're able to go into your Guard Dragon plays much easier because he's in the deck. And then lastly, for the last dragon monster is Red Eye's Darkness Metal Dragon. I don't really need to explain this card, but all these dragons being high levels is very relevant because we fusion summon and because we need a high level dragon. So that's another good thing about Darkness Metal. And then being able to revive your dragon from the grave to go into Saryuja is also amazing. It's just a really good card. Even if you draw it, you can simply banish like any dragon, summon it, and then extend, it's really good because even if you draw it, it's not bad. You don't want to draw it, it's your main LP target, but if you do draw it, it's not a problem at all. I hope I'm doing a good job explaining my card choices, guys, but if you guys have any questions, feel free to comment and I'll be able to answer you in the comment section. So for the last 2 monsters, these are 2 monsters that you can cut if you want to. If you want to keep this pure combo Dragonmaid, then I know this doesn't really it doesn't contribute to the combos or to your engines or anything like that, but it's just a very high impact hand trap that just ends turn. So you could play Ash, but the thing is, Ash, people can play through Ash, but it's very hard to play through a Nibiru. So once you Nibiru a combo player, it's the majority of the time it's kind of over for that deck, especially against like Rogue, Salad, even against like a mirror match or anything like that. So it's just very good. It's high impact. It causes them to end the turn, so you're able to combo off during your turn and be able to OTK. So next we're going to go over spells. The best spell, my favorite spell in the whole deck, is World Legacy Guard Dragon. The reason being is that this card, if you open it up with any Dragonmaid except Nurse, and the 2 big ones, if you open this card up with Chamber, if you open this card up with Parlor or Kitchen, you are in for a very, very good time. This card, it's insane. Just even when you move, you use the effect to move LP. If you don't have enough extenders, you can move LP, and then when you summon Romulus, you'll have a zone that 2 lake monsters point to. Because of this card, you're able to go into Saryuja. You're able to dig for your combo pieces, so you can end on the strongest board possible. This is definitely the best extender by far. Even if you open like this up and like Nurse, you're still able to combo off, because Nurse does nothing, but because you're able to link summon to Striker, and then, you know, activate this, get Nurse back, link the two monsters off for Romulus. Romulus searches for Divine Lance. Divine Lance gets you Phalanx. Phalanx gets you LP, and then you move LP. So like, even if you open up the worst Dragonmaid, you know, to open up with in your opening hand, you can still combo off because of this card, only because of this card. Yeah, we definitely play 3 copies of World Legacy Guard Dragon. Then we play 3 copies of Hospitality. This card is just you want to open this card up. You definitely want, because if you open this card up in Chamber, with Chamber you could just search the fusion spell. So that's one less step that you have to take to get access to your fusions. And then if you open this up with Parlor, it's even better, because with Parlor you could just dump Chamber, activate this, summon Chamber back, and then with Chamber you could either add the Trap or you could add the fusion spell, depending on, like I said, depending on what your hand looks like. Because if you add the Trap, you can you know, you can discard it with Dragon Ravine, and then be like guarantee your Saryuja play. But Hospitality is very good. Also, the Foolish Burial effect, like if you summon if you summon Parlor, or Nurse, you're able to dump the bigger Dragonmaids to the graveyard, which is nice because you want them to be in the grave. So when you're tagging out during the battle phase, they're able to, you know, you're able to get a house's full effect to pop monsters on the field. Next up, one of the best extenders as well is Quick Launch. I believe this Quick Launch is probably the second best extender next to World Legacy Guard Dragon, because it does get you Tracer from the deck, and then that allows you to extend even further, because Tracer gets you another rocket from the deck. And then we play, for our last 3 we play Call by the Grave. And the reason we play Call by the Grave is because we want our full combo to go through. Okay, we want to do our best to like, you know, stop an Ash Blossom, stop an Effect Veiler, stop an Ogre. Ogre's annoying because Ogre gets your monsters off the field, so you can't link climb into Romulus. It's harder to get into your Saryuja play. Most of the time when they Ash or Veiler, it's you know, that they might Ash like Chamber, they might Ash Parlor. And because you start with 4 other cards, and chances are those 4 other cards are like good extenders, sometimes you just hold this. You just hold this until something more threatening comes up, or you can shuffle this back with Saryuja if you're confident that they don't have any more hand traps, or you could set it and it becomes another disruption. This card is amazing. It has so much utility. Either being able to allow you to push through hand traps or stop hand traps, or acting as its own standalone disruption. So finishing up with the spells, we still have so our only 2 is Dragon Shrine. It's a 2 because it sucks to draw more than 1. It's only a 1 If you do happen to draw both of them, you can shuffle 1 back with Saryuja because you're going to use 1. So it's not that bad. And then we have Foolish Burial. So if you draw both of these cards, you know, your hand's looking good, because you could use 1 to dump Absarouter to search a rocket, so that guarantees you a normal summon for Striker Dragon. And you could just use the other card to maybe dump, like, you could, you know, send a Chamber or Parlor to the grave if you opened up Hospitality with no Dragonmaids. So these just act as, like, they act as their own extenders. They can set your graveyard up for your combos. And then for the other 1-ofs, we have 1 Monster Reborn. Monster Reborn is amazing because you can Monster Reborn your opponent's monster going second. And then you can use their monster to extend to go into Saryuja that way if you need to. It can also Monster Reborn any of your monsters. It's just nothing else to say about Monster Reborn. Divine Lance for Phalanx. Dragon Ravine. If we draw Divine Lance, we can always just search for Ravine, and then, you know, we search for, if we open up Ravine, then we, you know, search for Lance. And then if we open Phalanx is the worst one to draw. If we draw Phalanx, this becomes dead, but we could still search this. So if we search Phalanx, if we open Phalanx or Divine Lance, we could just search for Ravine, because Ravine gets you any dragon in the grave. It's another Foolish, it's another Dragon Shrine. It can also set your graveyard up because you discard a card. We just play one of the fusion spells. The reason you play one fusion spell is because Parlor and Chamber give you access to this card. So because those two cards, those are 6 other cards that give you access to this, and plus you can also draw it off Saryuja. So if you happen to draw it off Saryuja, then that's even better. There's so many ways. What I like about this deck is that it has multiple routes that it can take. So if you get hand trapped, any step along the way where you're trying to get to your end board, if your opponent hand traps you, you still have other routes to try to get to your end board. And if you can't get to your most powerful end board, you can still end with multiple disruptions, even through hand traps, which is awesome because your opponent's losing cards and you're still putting up board presence, you're still putting up disruptions to stop whatever little cards they have left in their hand. And then lastly, we play the Boot Sector for our last spell. It sucks drawing this card, but if you open it, it's not the worst thing because it acts as its own extender, but it's just a free card that we get off Striker Dragon. That's the reason we play it. Obviously, it's just a free card. It's a great extender, and then it's really cool because, like, say you draw this card and then you don't need it because Saryuja can summon your Rocket from the hand, or off Saryuja you draw another Quick Launch. So this becomes, you don't need it. So you can just shuffle this card back. Any cards that you start in your opening hand, and even free cards that you added like Ravine and like Boot Sector, they can just simply be shuffled back. So that way the 4 that you draw off Saryuja can be more useful cards. So it's really good. The deck works well. And then lastly, for our traps, we play 3 Imperm and then 1 of the it's the new Dragonmaid trap, Tidying. It's an amazing trap card. So first, Impermanence. Not much to say about Impermanence. It's just really good against combo decks, even against like control decks like Guru and like that deck is escaping my mind. Like Altergeist. Like Altergeist is really good because you stop Marionetter. You could stop the Multi-Faker. But it's mostly importantly against combo decks and also against like Floodgate monsters like Going Second. Floodgate monsters like VFD, like Dark Law, like Utopic, the Utopic Future. It's just such a good card. I feel like this card's definitely needed. And then we all know by now that if you set it, you negate a spell and trap in the same column. So it's it's very utility heavy, if that's a correct term. And then Tidying, going on, this trap is amazing. I was super excited for this trap to come out. This trap acts as a compulse for any card. You bounce any dragon that you control back to the hand, or if it's an extra deck monster, it goes back to the extra deck, and then you can bounce any card they control back to their hand or in their graveyard. That is insane. Monster Reborn, what's your target? Activate Tidying, bounce that back. It's so good. It's amazing. Target 1 dragon monster and 1 card in your opponent controls or in their graveyard. It didn't even need to say that, but it's a bonus. It's a very nice bonus. And then the Reborn effect, which I think is the effect I use more. It's because I want to be able to extend and play through hand traps, and this helps me do it because if it's in the graveyard, I can just banish it and revive any Dragonmaid. Any Dragonmaid. It could even be the big fusion Xiao, the Xiao, however you pronounce her name, but it can even be her if she was like fusion summoned correctly, which is awesome. It's so good. So that's it for the main deck. It is, I think it's 48, 49. I totally forgot. So moving on to our extra deck, it's so guys, if you play Dragonmaids, right, and you're a purist, you like this deck to be pure, just Dragonmaids, then I want you guys to be a bit more open-minded when it comes to this deck, because to get this deck's full potential, to get this deck's absolutely full potential, I feel like this is the way to play it. And I feel like it is still a Dragonmaid deck because my goal is to use as many Dragonmaid cards as possible to be able to get to my end board. And my end board always includes the Dragonmaid fusion monster because she's an amazing card. My main thing that I want you guys to try to realize is if you're always like against anything that isn't pure Dragonmaids, just to improve as a player, I just recommend that you give it a shot. Maybe play this version and then see how it feels. It might, you guys might enjoy this more than a very like a strictly pure Dragonmaid deck. So until we get more Dragonmaid cards where this can be a standalone deck that we can play competitively, because guys, honestly, like if you're not playing this deck and if you don't want this deck to be competitive at all, you're not gonna have that much fun, especially when you go to locals and you play in a tournament. Because if you play in a tournament and you lose because you weren't open to making this deck more competitive by using other engines, then it sucks because it discourages you from playing the deck. And I really like the deck, and I think this doesn't take away from it being a Dragonmaid deck, and at the same time it keeps it very fun and very explosive. And your Dragonmaid, and you use every card, like every part of Dragonmaids that makes it good, you use. Whether it's like the ability to search for its spells and traps, to be able to tag out into the bigger Dragonmaids, to use House's pop effect, so you're able to control the board more, to negate your opponent's monsters and card effects with Shao. So everything that Dragonmaid is as a deck, we still use in this deck. So let's go over our guard dragon plays. So striker dragon is obviously, it's amazing because it just says 1 level 4 dragon. All your Dragonmaids are level 4 or lower, the ones that you normal summon, so it makes it free. You get the boot sector launch, LP and Pisty, just very, very good extenders for any dragon deck. It's awesome. Extenders to go into Saryuja. Saryuja's a dragon, Hieratic Seal's a dragon, Romulus is a dragon, and they all contribute greatly to our combo. And then Hieratic, so Romulus, amazing Link 2. It's one of my favorite Link 2s. It gets you access to Ravine, gets you access to Lance, so you're able to extend and go into LP and Pisty to go into your Saryuja. And then this is my favorite Link 2 in the game. This card does so much for any dragon deck. First of all, if they hand trap you to death, the worst case scenario is you could end on Hieratic Seal. And if you end on a Hieratic Seal and they've lost multiple cards in their hand, you can wait for them to make their like really big play, use Hieratic Seal's effect, tribute, bounce their card or their big combo starter, whatever it is, and then once it's tributed, it gets you a follow-up play. It gets you Brotar from the deck. It gets you Nurse from the deck. So even if they hand trap you and after you tribute this, you have no cards left, because this was tributed, it gets you Nurse. Nurse gets you Chamber. Chamber gets you Hospitality. So you have so many plays already because of this guy right here. You bounced a card, you got Nurse from the deck, Nurse summoned Chamber, Chamber got you Hospitality, and so off this card, you got 2 cards plus Hospitality, which is going to get you another monster, and you're able to extend even further. During your next turn, you could possibly go for game because of this card. This can also like summon Tempest. So like during your opponent's turn, if they say that they go into battle phase, you bounce their monster back. If they try to attack over this, summon Tempest, and then during your turn, Tempest is just a free monster, so you could go for game. So all these cards are necessary, very necessary if you're playing this version of the deck, because they all have their own purpose. There's not a single card that you can cut out of these cards. And then we're playing IP, and the reason that we play IP is she's our last Link 2, and we play IP because we have 2 targets. Which I'll show you guys in a second, and the 2 targets are very powerful. It depends on the matchup. So if you're going against a back row deck If you're going against a very like combo deck, monster effect heavy deck, then she can tag you into either of those monsters. Actually, you know what? I'll just show you guys right now. So the first one is being Unicorn, the second one is being IP. Most of the time you're summoning, the second one being Appaloosa. Most of the time you're summoning Appaloosa because the amazing thing is, another amazing thing about Hieratic Seal, so the majority of the time your end board will include these two monsters, right? So what you'll do is you'll tribute this, bounce a card that they control. You can summon Nurse, and then Nurse gets you another Dragonmaid from the grave. Now you have 1, 2, 3 because Nurse and another Dragonmaid. You could go into, you could after resolution of Seal, you can use IP's effect. And then link summon into Appaloosa with 3 negates. So you got the bounce, and you have 3. You still have 3 monster negates, which is really cool. And Appaloosa can be destroyed by card effects. And then say you're playing against a deck that is not trap. It's not a monster effect reliant, and it's a back row deck. Then once they start to set cards, and if they're attempting to go into end phase, you could just activate IP and then summon Unicorn, discard a card, shuffle it back. And it's also really good against like shuffling back anything, monsters or anything like that. But again, Appaloosa will be your main target, but a Unicorn is an amazing target as well. I definitely would play both. And then, for Appaloosa, we are getting the Megatins, so hopefully more people will have access to this card as well as IP. The Megatins, amazing Megatins, amazing Megatin this year, especially for when it comes to the reprints. Sucks for the promos, but and then we have Triple Burst. Triple Burst you summon when you have a awkward hand, when you don't have enough extenders to make LP and Pisty, but you can summon, like if you have access to Tempest somehow, you're able to summon Tempest, use Tempest and Romulus to go into this, and that way you have LP and Triple Burst point into the same zone. You could summon Darkness Metal, summon a dragon from the grave, go into Saryuja that way. By the way, I haven't mentioned this, but, well, I mentioned Saryuja multiple times already, but Saryuja is the main card we're trying to go to dig for more combo pieces so we can end on on the most powerful board possible. Saryuja is amazing because any bricks that we drew at all, or any cards that we don't need anymore because our opponent didn't open up any hand traps, and we don't need like the extenders that we opened up with, we can also shuffle them back to maybe like if we draw like Imperm, we could keep the Imperm instead. We could keep the Call by the Grave instead because both of those cards act as interruptions during our opponent's turn as well. Saryuja is also special, like being able to special summon from the hand is amazing because if we draw into a Tracer, we could always shuffle back the Boot Sector launch and just use Saryuja's effect to summon Tracer. If we draw into Parlor or Dragonmaid Chamber, we can also use Saryuja's effect to summon Chamber or Parlor to get us our fusion spell. And then it's just Saryuja's just amazing, and its pointers are amazing. The attack boost is relevant. Everything about this card is amazing. The only bad thing about this card is that it gives a pointer to your opponent, but that's not even relevant anymore because of Master Rule 5. It is relevant for the attack boost, but otherwise to be able to give your opponent like zones for special summoning from the extra deck. Now synchros, fusions, Xyz can be summoned to the main monster zone anyway, so that's not as relevant. And then for the Dragonmaid fusion, we play 2 House and 2 Xiao. So the reason that we play Xiao is because there's a big reason. It negates anything, monster, or card, spell, trap, whatever, card or effect, which is amazing. It can negate stuff in the grave, in the hand, on the field. And then the reason we play 2 is turn 1, you summon 1, and then its effect is you can negate something and then send it back to the extra deck and then summon a house Dragonmaid. So you summon house, and then when you summon house, if they go into battle phase, if you have your little Dragonmaids, you can bounce them back, get house's effect to pop monsters on the field. So not only do you get to the negate from Xiao, but you get the monster pop from house. And then during your turn, again, you want to be able to summon the second copy. So the second, you could bounce the fusion spell from your grave back to the hand when you bounce smaller Dragonmaid to the hand, and then just summon this again and be able to have another target so you can negate again or go for damage. And then lastly, for we play Tenyi, the Draco Berserker. This card, I'm probably going to swap it out for Boral Savage when I get my hands on it. I do not have it yet, but when I do, I will swap that out for this. This is also a great card, by the way, so if you don't have access to Boral Savage, again, the Mega Tins are going to give us the reprints for these cards. If you don't have access to Savage, even after the tins, you could play this card instead. It's a really good card, especially if they break your board and then you have another target for Tracer. You could summon it, attack, destroy a monster by battle, send it to the grave, gain its attack, and then attack again, which is awesome, very relevant. I'd rather have Boral Savage. Like, I'd rather be able to make Boral Savage my recovery play, because not only is it a big monster after it gains its attack boost, like equipping Saryuja, it'll get really beefy, and then it also has a negate, so I'm able to attack over my opponent's monsters and negate their stuff if they broke my board. So if they broke my board, guys, that's it for the deck profile. Guys, if you want a combo tutorial, I would love to do a combo tutorial. The video is super long right now. I hope I did a very good job, or at least a decent job, explaining my deck, the deck and my card choices. So typically this would be your end board. Sometimes playing through hand traps, you could still end on this, which is awesome because you get the bounce, you get the negate, and then with Shao, it can, during each standby phase, your standby phase and your opponent's standby phase, you can summon back any Dragonmaid, any smaller Dragonmaid. So you summon Chamber gets you more advantage, and then so you'll get a Dragonmaid monster here, you'll tribute with this, bounce something, get another monster, link into Appaloosa, and then, it's so hard to play through that. So you have a bounce, you have an Omni negate, you could have a spin with Unicorn, or 3 to 4 negates with Appaloosa because of IP. So guys, I hope you enjoyed it. I love this deck. I really wanted to make it as competitive as possible. Please share your thoughts. Sorry for the long video. I just wanted to do the best job I could explaining this deck and my card choices. If I missed anything, feel free to ask. I'd be happy to answer. And keep an eye out for an updated Dragonmaid list post Megatins 2020, because this deck is going to get even better, believe it or not, after the Megatins release. All right, guys, take care. Have a great one. And I hope you guys are doing well during this time.